I want to talk about Alexa Fischer and her company, Wishbeads, and tell you why I wanted to have this conversation tonight. And it's very fitting that my friend Joanna is sitting in this front seat, because she's actually the reason that I know about Wishbeads.
Nice!
Thank you. The story is that I spotted this bracelet on her wrist one day. And as you can see, she's very chic. And so I just assumed, I didn't say anything, I didn't ask her anything. I was just like, oh God, it's probably something really expensive, so I'm just not even gonna ask her. Okay.
Surprise!
Yeah. And then I want to say it was probably like 3 weeks later, I'm with her in Manhattan Beach, and she brings me into this store that has them sitting on the counter, and she's like, oh, these.
You asked me on my birthday. She's like, what is it? And I was like, bracelet. I'll take you to the store, and then we went.
Yeah.
So then I saw them, and I was like, oh wait, I can buy these. I can buy this. But I didn't know at the time. I just liked the way it looked. I didn't know at the time exactly what the whole story was behind it. Mm-hmm. So once I kind of like saw it at the shop, and then I went home and went online and was like, let me really see what this is all about, and discovered, there's an intention behind the stone, and there is a place to place a wish.
Little secret cylinder. That is your wish. Yeah.
So I know there were a couple of you, I think, that were here or came to the workshop that I did last month that was all about creating a vision. So this really ties into that idea of creating a vision, because, there was a quote I had read by Henry Ford that goes, obstacles are the scary things that we see when we take our eye off the target. And to me, our vision or our wish is the target. And so if we're able to keep focused on what we really want, the obstacles don't get in our way. And I was just so blown away. I'm getting the chills right now. You can see that she created this company, this jewelry company that allows you to stay focused on your wish. Yeah. So Alexa, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here.
Yeah. Thank you. And I also have to say that when we connected, it was so meaningful, because I said, oh my gosh, you really get what I'm doing. You really see what it is that I'm doing. So the short version of I'm a very accidental jewelry designer. I'm a people lover, genuinely. I can't remember who I was greeting at the door, but I love people. That's my thing. And my first love of people took me to the world of acting. I was a professional actress on TV shows, did a lot of commercials. I sold y'all a lot of stuff. And then I was actually I had a really tough moment on set where I was bored out of my mind. And it wasn't the kind of boredom where you're like, gosh, I'm bored, I'm really looking for something to do. It was the, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life kind of moment. And I'd gone to an amazing drama school, and I was professional actress. And then of course I wanted to make money, so I was doing commercials and TV and film and all this stuff. But I was on the set of Bones, and I was playing a lawyer. Something bad happened to my character. I had fake blood coming out of my mouth. I'm laying on the filthy floor of the LA Times building, dying inside, because I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And it was a bad moment. You can see this moment. It's actually on television.
Use it.
Yeah. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, universe, please give me a sign what I'm supposed to do, because I have so much training, and I've treated this acting profession really professionally, which is very funny in this town, because anyway, I'll just not say that. But I really wanted to do something with my passion and my skill and my love and give back to people, and this is who I am. And 2 days later, a good friend of mine called me up out of the blue. She was a makeup artist who I met on set doing a Neosporin commercial. And we hit it off brilliantly, even though we were working with a crazy director. And we stayed friends, and she had started a new company, helping women kind of up-level their look and present themselves in a different way. And she had a very high-profile client who needed media training, was doing a big, really needed a media trainer. And she called me up and she said, you'd be great at this. You should do that. And without even thinking, I was like, yes, I am going to teach people how to communicate in a way that they can be themselves, but they can feel confident, they can overcome their hesitation. And after working with this woman, she was like, oh, well, you should have a website, and I want to introduce you to people. And slowly, I started to coach people, train people, build online courses. And that was probably about 9 or 10 years ago. And now I have over, I think 70,000 students online, and worked with huge companies and CEOs and built this whole other thing. And then one day I had a vision in the shower, the name Wishbeads and what I was supposed to do came, I honestly think in a holographic kind of, the whole thing. And I'll tell you what preceded it the night before, which had a lot to do with it. But I heard the name, I saw what I was supposed to do with it. It was intention setting, it was a reminder, it was called Wishbeads. And then sort of my entrepreneur brain went, there is no way that the name Wishbeads is going to be available, because that's just such an obvious name. And there's just no way. But I thought, well, this is such a strange experience that I'm just going to go check. So dripping wet, robe to the computer, I'm just going to check. And everything was available. The trademark was available. The URL was available. And I thought, okay, this is something. I'm onto something. And if it's coming through me, then really all I'm meant to do is just really listen and figure this out. And because it wasn't, I shifted. Instead of building companies, when you're on set and you're working with celebrities and you're working with directors, you have got to pretend that you know exactly what you're doing. You have to, especially in the beginning. And then when I was a coach and I was coaching people, I worked with major CEOs. I cold emailed the CEO of Trader Joe's because I love Trader Joe's. I thought, wouldn't it be fun to work for Trader Joe's? I cold emailed Dan Bain, and because I figured out how to figure out his email. It's very obvious. First letter, last name at Trader Joe's. And not to give that away, but I cold emailed him, and he wrote me back 20 minutes later. Wow. And about 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in his office. And I ended up working with them. But again, that was that feeling of I'm going to pretend, I know, I wasn't pretending. I really didn't know what I was doing. But there is this feeling of I've got it all figured out. But with Wishbeads, this beautiful thing happened because I had no idea how to make products. I'm not a jewelry designer. There's so many things that I didn't know, that there was no way that I could do this without humbly asking everybody I knew. And I started really going deeper into that authentic place of I really, I'm curious. I'm going to go figure it out. I'm going to help. People are going to help me. I'm going to help them. We're going to be in conversation. I'm going to, trust that the right people are going to show up at the right time. And that's really what has served this whole journey. And that's really part of Wishbeads, having a vision and just going for it.
Well, I think what you said is so important about the difference between pretending like you've all got it together and being in a place where you can allow for the idea of just making it up as you go along.
Yeah, playful.
Because I think, unfortunately, our industry of interior design, I feel like there is a lot of pretending that goes on that everybody knows, and nobody ever talks about the hard parts of running a business. And I know for all the years that I've been going to panel discussions, I've never heard, well, actually, I'll take that back. Jamie Bush may be the only person I've ever heard talk about the hard parts, on a panel. But there's just a lot of this, oh yeah, everything's coming up roses all the time. It's, I did my mom's bathroom, and then all of her friends wanted to, hire me. And it's that's not helpful for anyone in this room that is here to learn something. And so that's also something that has driven me to start Women at Work and have real conversations. Yeah. Because I know when I share, and I share this in the visioning workshop, that everything I've ever done in my career that's been worth anything, I had no idea how to do it in the beginning. Yeah. No idea. Yeah. And the more you do those things that you have no idea how to do, the more confidence you gain. It's not by preparing. And I watch so many women who are so smart and talented who are keeping themselves from taking that first step forward because they feel like, well, I've got to prepare. I got to do more research. I got to really figure this out. And it's you are never going to have the confidence or learn without doing. Totally. So I thank you so much for sharing that piece. Yeah. It's so important, I think, to talk about that more and more.
Yeah, and I think, aren't we in a place now where we are tired of the facade of Instagram, or we're tired of of this feeling that like everything has to be, you know, just like you got to be the right parent, and you have to do this, and you have to be this, and you have to make it all. And it's not real. It's not real for anybody. And I think part of what was the gift of being in the entertainment industry and being on the inside of that world was you meet celebrities who literally look like everybody else. And then the team shows up. And the team shows up, and all of a sudden it's the hair and the makeup and the wardrobe and this. And then they look like the celebrity that you saw in People magazine. But they didn't show up at the trailer that way. And what bothered me before I started teaching people was it was so painful to me to see people put themselves down because they're comparing themselves to this other thing. And I thought, if you could teach people how to be the superstars of their own life, then we start to help one another and be much more compassionate towards one another and understand that there's nothing outside of you that is going to make you happy. Your happiness is inside of you. The only person who can do it is you. And so, you know, Wishbeads are not magic. They're not magic. You're magic. You are the magic people. And if you just have something that reminds you how magic you are, how powerful you are, how intentional you are, then suddenly you show up in the world in a very different way. And suddenly it is more playful, and it is more real, and it is more fun, and it is more honest. And so when you screw up, which everybody will screw up, everybody screws up all the time, you can very quickly own it and then redirect. And I do it with my kids. I do it in my business. I do it with my husband. And then there's freedom, because then you can really go for things, you know, where you're not like, oh, I'm worried I'm going to look bad. Well, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to do anything terrible to anybody, but if I say the wrong thing, or if I, you know, a little embarrassment or something, it's not so bad. Anyway, so that's kind of where what excites me and what I'm drawn to now is really having a deeper, more playful and fun conversation around building businesses, because building businesses are a lot of work, right? Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah. You're not like, oh, I just showed up at Jonathan Adler and there's like chairs and like video and people, you know, it's work, and you're a busy person. We don't know each other so well, but I bet you're busy. But you're passionate about something, so you show up, and it's gonna take a life of its own.
Yeah. Well, so on that same note, I'm wondering, like, what have been some of the challenges that you faced in building your business, this business?
Oh my goodness, so many. I think, you know, that there's that classic thing, and if anybody listens to how I built this, which is probably everybody, you know, that classic thing of, if I knew what I was getting into, would I, you know, and I think that I wouldn't change anything for anything. But you have to find a well of energy and perseverance, because there's aspects of my business that I really enjoy, that are creative. I love this part, this super fun. I love meeting people. And then there's the inside of your business. And people think that, you know, that they see a website and that there's like a customer service team and that there's like such and such. It is me. It is one virtual assistant that I love her so much. She is the opposite personality of me. She lives in a small town in Pennsylvania. We've worked together for 3 years. I've never met her. She is awesome. I love her so much. We can't believe we haven't met. We were going to have a retreat, and then it ended up getting postponed. But anyway, and I have a wonderful woman that I work with in PR. I have an amazing manufacturing partner who I met through a woman through LinkedIn, which was crazy, which I should tell that story. And that's it. And my husband, who does a ton of stuff, he's a graphic video, he does a ton of stuff too. But so when people are like emailing me or needing this, it's always, there's so much. So the obstacle right now that I feel is that the wearing so many hats, and in that place where the business is growing very quickly and I need to delegate more, and the time that it takes to find the right people and to have that moment where you say, you do that. I've done it in certain parts, but I'm at that place where, you know, there's just so many balls to, you know, constantly juggle. And I think I was sharing with you that one of the things I was looking forward to just this moment is that I can't think about any of those things because I'm sitting on this couch with you. When I drive home, I'll remember all the things I have to do tomorrow. so that's I think that's the keeping all of it going.
Anyone here can relate to that?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And then you also set that bar, right? That's like, well, I have to respond to this like right now, or I have to fix this now, or I have to stay on top of it. You know, I'm selling bracelets. Like, this is not like a lung transplant. Like, if something is a few days late, like, it's fine. So, a little hard on myself sometimes.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
So can you walk us through how it works? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you that story about how this came to be, because I think it's kind of baked into this. The night before I had what I would call the download, I was doing a workshop at a homeless women's shelter in Santa Monica called Daybreak. And I'd done something with them before, but I'd come up with the first idea for Wishbeads, and it's still a thing. And actually, if you look at this brochure, you can read about it. But the first thing, and I didn't bring it, I should have brought it with me. But the first idea is a paper bead making kit. Wishbeads experience, whether it's a bracelet, the kit, the necklace, anything, it begins with a visualization. And you're invited to do a guided visualization where you can picture a moment in time at some point in the future where you are living your wish. Like your wish has already come true. You're just in it. And it's not like a material thing that you're holding. But for some people, it could be like, I'm in my new house. I'm in with my beautiful new, like Jonathan Adler couch. Like I'm, my guests are about to arrive. Like you can see that moment. But it's vivid. And after the visualization, you then record that experience in detail. And in the paper bead making kit, that paper is literally, you write out 4 sheets of that paper, you roll it up, glue it, and create paper beads with your wishes inside. And that was the original download for Wishbeads. And I had been doing visioning work and goal setting work and vision boards. And so like I was in this camp anyway, but that was sort of the first download. And the night before, I had done that experience with these homeless women, and they were awesome. Actually, that's not true. No, I had done a visualization experience with these women. Didn't think of Wishbeads till the next day, but I had done a visualization experience with them because I think it was like 2 months earlier, I had been part of an entrepreneurial panel. And I felt like actually such a jerk in this panel of like a woman who started a yoga company and a lawyer and me who was like making online courses. And I just thought, as I was a guest at this thing, I thought, this is obnoxious. Like I don't have any of the things that these women are dealing with. How is someone here? You can wish for anything. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but I kept on trying to make it relatable, because anyway, so I left that meeting and I said, I'm happy to help in another way, something that might be more relevant, like preparing for a job interview or something, anything. Anyway, so they contacted me and I had this idea that we would do visualization exercise that night. We would talk about the power of positive thoughts. I showed them the power of energy muscle testing. I was in that sort of space, and then the next day the download happened for Wishbeads. Now, with the jewelry, I'll just do it on my wrist. With the jewelry, it's the same idea but easier. Because what I found was when I was leading people through the paper bead experience, it was a great group activity, but when people would attend one and they'd buy one for a friend, I would follow up and say like, well, did your friend do it? And they would say no. Because who's going to stop their busy life and do a craft project by yourself? Nobody. And I had that terrible thing like, but the universe gave me this vision and what am I supposed to do? And I want to create a movement of people wishing and this is how we're going to change the world. And like, it was like teens were drawn to it, but I was a little bit of in that place where I just didn't know how to have it spread. And then a good friend of mine attended one of my wish circles and she was not into crafting. She was not into glue. She was not into like getting her nails dirty. And she was like, you should make a jewelry version of this, like something that is way easier. And on the outside, my face was like, what a great idea. And on the inside, I was like, oh my God, do you know how hard I have worked to put this out into the world? And, but sure enough, that day, I drew a picture basically of exactly this. And what it is it's just a beaded bracelet. you have a little secret cylinder where you have a tiny piece of paper and you roll it up and you put it inside, and that's your wish. Before you do your wish, though, there is a guided visualization. So, and that is part of the bigger Wishbeads experience. I'll show you that each of the bracelets, like you lift them up, and then underneath you have a little paper with 5 little wish papers. You don't need to put all 5 pieces in. They don't fit. You just want one at a time. But then you tried. You tried. They don't fit. I was thinking like your wish will come true and then you'll have backup paper. But then people are like jamming all these papers in. They don't fit. Just one at a time is good. And you're focusing on one wish. And a little toothpick for easy rolling, because that's what I wanted. So that's what I made. So that's in there. But then, this is my moment where I say, but wait, there's more. I created something called Wishwork, and I'm just going to grab my book right now. Wishwork is really like, how many people make wishes when you like have a birthday cake?
I do.
Right? Make a wish. Okay, then how many times do you actually think about that wish?
Not much.
Right? We don't think about it. We don't even believe it. So the idea of really making your wishes come true, and you know that because you create things, all of you create things, is that they actually require work. You can't, there is something to, like, did anyone see the movie The Secret?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember the moment in The Secret where the guy's like, I'm just going to be in my lazy boy chair, and I'm just going to, like, vision. And he's just sitting back in his lazy boy chair, and I'm like, well, I am a believer in the law of attraction, but you actually have to do some things. You know, there's a little dance between the intention and the specificity. There is power in just naming it, and detail, vision boards, absolutely, believe all of that. But then there's like the motor, and the motor is you doing things. So Wishwork is 21 days of like wildly crazy simple things, like listening to the song that's playing on the radio and is there a message for you? Or like today's exercise is like, notice how many smiles you can see during the day. Your life will change simply by having an intention of just like, I'm going to see how many people I can smile at, and who can smile at me. And suddenly you are doing the wish work. So you're not saying like, write an essay about the wish you want to have. Or maybe some days it's like Google something that's related to your wish, or put something in your calendar that's related to your wish. But most of it is just like, how do you show up and interact with the world in just a slightly different way? And suddenly that warmth of just a smile might make a hello or a connection or brighten up somebody's day. And it'll just change the way you feel. So I wrote an email sequence first, which is so cute because you told me your dad did. So cute.
Oh.
And then I turned it into an app. So you have a free app called Just Under Wishbeads with a little audio message, and then the 21 days. And then I wrote a book about it, which also serves as a journal. So you can do your 21 days here. And then it talks about the principles behind Wishbeads and how it works.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like you answered some other of my questions about like, you know, what is sort of the intention, but I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing, or if anyone in the audience wouldn't mind sharing, some of the transformational stories that people have shared with you about, you know, what has happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different stories. You know, it's anything from like people really saying and owning like how much money do I want to make. Like I am really ready to bust through whatever kind of like level I've hit. I'm ready to say it. And I think there's a woman named Deja, and I think she talks about it in a podcast that we did together, where it was the day that you have to tell your wish to a stranger. And she shared that in her family, especially, like you do not talk about money. But she had heard the wish work of the day. She was specifically thinking about money and opportunities. And so she was in line at Starbucks and someone asked her about her bracelet. And she was like, okay, this is the window, this is the door that's opening. And she's like, well, I'm actually wishing about making more money. And she started talking about it. And so it was a weird thing to say to a stranger, but for her, it was even amplified because of the imprints that she's received from her family that like they just don't talk about it ever. And sure enough, like crazy opportunities started to come to her, and she's like, oh yeah, oh no, like she's surpassed what she wanted, and she really owned that energy in a really different way. And another woman I know, she shared with me something that immediately, well, actually, I'll tell you this one about my sister-in-law, which I thought was pretty interesting. And this was before I came out with the jewelry, but she had done because in the beginning I was doing the paper bead one with a lot of people just being like, try this, what do you think of this? Anyway, she was a pretty private person, but she had her visualization, and then it was about 8 months later, we're standing in their new house. They bought a house. She had wanted to buy a house for some time, and we're standing in the living room, and she said, look, that. And it was these curtains that were blowing in the wind, and she said, that's what I saw in my visualization, that. And so at the time of the visualization, she didn't think she was going to buy a house. She wasn't actively thinking about it. She just had the inkling, I want my own space. I want to find a new place. And in the visualization, she saw a moment in a new home, and that was what she saw.
Wow.
So it wasn't like kind of like, she's like, no, literally, that's what I saw. So there is something about allowing yourself this moment, and you talk about that target. So my big wish, I don't know if you're going to ask that.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So my big wish, and I have no clue how I'm going to pull this off, but my big wish is to have 1 million people wishing at once.
Wow.
And I see myself doing this. So I write about this moment quite a bit because I'm picturing the moment. We're going to do it on stage, and it's going to be live streamed. That's how we're going to get all the people, and that's a big venue for 1 million people. But we're going to do it on a stage, where we're going to do a smaller event, so whoever's there is there. And there's music that's involved, and I see my friends who are there, who are musicians, they're over there, and I see my kids, they're over there, and I see, I see who's on stage with me, and I see the room, and all this stuff, and I don't know how we're going to pull this off, but I know that this is going to happen, and this is what I wear every day. And I was sharing this story, so there was another, I met so many great people just having Wishbeads, something to talk about. And one woman, I was sharing this idea because, did anyone participate in Deepak Chopra and Gabby Bernstein, maybe 5-6 years ago, did a virtual meditation, and 250,000 people showed up? Okay, well, I did. Anyway, so I signed up for it, so I thought, that's cool. And I was in my little office, and she talked and Deepak talked, and we did we did a meditation for peace, and I thought that is the coolest thing. And so that sort of left an imprint in me, okay, well, you can totally do this. This would be super doable. And so I was meeting with this other couple women. She wanted to carry the line in her yoga studio, and there's 2 women, and her friend was there who I thought worked at the store. So, she was asking about, and I said, part of the wish work is to share your wish, right? Like I told you about Deja. So I'm telling them about my wish, and the woman who's sitting next to her goes, that's so crazy because I produced that event. And I was like, shut the front door! What? And she's like, yeah, I worked with Deepak for 18 years, and I produced the entire event. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so now, she's not I'm going to produce this for you right now, but she's my go-to resource. Right. We're friends now.
Wow.
And so that's the thing. It's you can wish whatever you want. Wish for whatever you want. And if you just hold it and then just play with it, it will come. Things will come.
I got to admit to everyone right now, I've been doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong.
You got to read the book.
Yeah,
it tells you just how to do it.
I have the book. And this is what has happened to me. Like I told you. So first of all, before she got here, we just met tonight, by the way.
We just met.
And
but we like each other.
I've been obsessed with the Wishbead concept. So I messaged her through Instagram and was like, I'm buying it for everybody I know. It's magical. And I did have a wish that came true, and now I need to re-wish it because I'm not focusing on it. But I find that what keeps happening to me now is I make a wish and I go, that's not the right wish. And I'm changing the wish. So I'm not sticking to focusing on it.
And did you do the visualization?
I haven't done it again since the first time that I did it. So that's why I'm telling you, I did it wrong.
Okay. So I want to just do it. I just want to do visualization. You don't have to get a bracelet. The bracelet's just the fun. It's fun, but it's all inside of you. Do we have time to do a little guided visualization? We do? Let's do it.
Is everybody cool with that? Yeah.
Let's just do it. Let's just do something. Does anybody have do we have music here at the showroom?
Yeah.
At the store?
Yeah.
Do we have Spotify?
Oh, no. No.
Do you have something that's like meditative kind of? No? All right. Forget music. We're just going to be quiet. I mean, we can put on our phone, but whatever. We don't need
Jonathan
it.
likes to listen to music that 12-year-old girls listen to.
That's all good. That's all good. This is hard to like visualize too. Okay. Yeah. So like it's not fun to just hear about it. You can do this anytime. You can also do this. It's a free app. So the first thing is a guided visualization. So
Is that on your app?
oh yeah, I mean this is the app. So it says visualize your wish. It's a guided visualization. But let's just do it now because it'll be fun. We'll do it short. It'll be fun. Okay. So so just get comfortable. Just get comfortable. And normally I have like nice music playing, but whatever, we'll listen to the sounds of Melrose. Melrose. So close your eyes and just get really present in your seat. Take a big deep breath in and let it out. Just let all the tension from the day, just let it melt away. You don't need any of it. We are just here to play. And another deep breath in, and let it out. Beautiful. Now allow your body to soften, and just like gently with your mind's eye, scan your body and see if there's any places that feel tense, and just send it a little love, just to let it go. You don't need it. Just let it wash over you and let it go. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, I invite you to picture a beautiful ball of light in the center of your chest. It can be any color you wish. This is your light. You were born with it. So just connect and visualize that light. And as you take another deep inhale in, I want you to imagine that that light is growing just a little bit brighter. And as you exhale, it's expanding. As you inhale, it's growing in intensity, your connection is growing. And as you exhale, it's expanding. Just really play with this light for the next couple of breaths. Now I'm going to invite you to focus this light and imagine that your light is like a projector, like an old-fashioned movie projector, shining light on a screen that's just about maybe 5 feet in front of you. This light is just shining on that screen. Just picture that light on that screen right now. Now slowly, slowly, this image, there's going to be an image that's going to come into focus. That image is just a moment in time at some point in the future where everything feels just right. Just allow just one image to just pop on that screen for you without judging it at all. Just allow an image. It can also be a feeling. Just see something appear, feel something right now. Now with the next inhalation in, I invite you to step closer and closer and closer to this screen until you are so close that you actually merge with it. And you are there in that moment where everything feels just right. Now in this time and place, I invite you to awaken your senses, to really focus on what is around you. What do you hear in that time and place? Hear it now. Identify one sound. And as you explore deeper, just check in with how do you feel in this time and place? What words would you describe how you feel? Name that now. And now look around in this time and place and see if you can notice very specific details. What are 3 details that you can picture that you notice in this time and place? Take your time and notice them now. Check in. What are you wearing? What is the quality of the light around you? Just take the next couple of moments to just explore on your own this time and place. Now with the next inhalation, just connect with that light in the center of your chest. This light is where this moment lives, and you can go back here anytime you want. You will remember. You will be able to connect because it's already inside of you. So when you're ready, very slowly, slowly come back to this time and place. Knowing that you can always go back anytime you want, remembering all the details. But when you're ready, you can bring yourself back to the room, gently wiggling your toes, feeling your chair, and then slowly, slowly opening your eyes when you're ready.
Okay, now I know my wish. That was really amazing. That was really amazing.
Can you share your wish?
Sure. So I really didn't know what was going to come up. And I love that idea of watching the light on the screen. And, you know, some of you here know that my husband and I are moving to New York, so I saw our home. Nice. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what was going to come up, but that was what just, as soon as you said, just let whatever comes up come up on the screen.
Yeah.
And I saw the furniture, I saw the quality of light, I saw the time of day, I saw what we were doing.
And it's funny because moving is probably one of the most stressful things that you can do.
You don't say.
But if you have no, because it is. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for all the reasons that we all know that it is. But if you have this knowing that's already inside of you, the clarity around it, suddenly it goes from the noise of like, oh my God, if I'm a realtor, what neighborhood do we all live in? All the things. And then there's a connection of be like, you know what? I'm going to make this really easy because I know it, which means that the space is already there waiting for me to find it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to work so hard. Like someone will probably say something to you because you're so clear. I mean, I talk about this in the book that I imagine this, it's like the universe is up there like a waiter with a notepad. That's just like, okay, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Because if your version of your home is very, very different than my version of a home, probably, or your version, if you say something kind of broad like, I just want to be happy. Well, your happiness is very different than my happiness. So the universe doesn't know how to deliver happy. But if the universe is like, okay, great, you want like really tall ceilings and you want like white walls and like, like this type of flooring. And then it's so easy. Yeah. It's so easy to have it come to you because you're clear. And so I think that's part of the play with all of this. Does anybody have any questions about their experience? No?
Or want to share anything? Anyone want to share with their experience?
Anyone want to share? It's so fun up here. Maggie the dog didn't join us, but you can. You don't even have to come up here. Does anybody want to share?
I think connecting with feelings, and just from the kind of the spiritual experiences that I've had, because I've always had trouble with creating a vision and then expectations not meeting. But when I've had the best experiences have really been connecting. You said something earlier about the feeling that you get when you think about those things.
Yeah.
And living in that. Because I think, I don't know, somehow the universe seems to honor that in my mind more so.
Yeah.
And I think in my mind God wants us to have everything, and I think we get in the way of all those things.
Yeah.
So it's about finding ways to, I don't know. I mean, I was going to ask you about how when you had that moment, that download moment you were talking about, you were obviously enough in a space where you were quiet enough, or, and
I was showering.
Well,
it wasn't like meditating.
True, but a lot of times when we're driving, people often talk about, I mean, my wife is a writer. She has some of the best ideas when she's driving. Yeah. And she keeps a notepad on the passenger seat.
Yeah.
So don't worry, she's not going to give it away. But it's when you're not caught up in, the rote kind of groove that we all live in. So
it's so true, and I think that there's also this feeling like, so let's say you see the vision of the place, but there's the gap between it manifesting and where you stand right now. So if there's something specific that you saw, and let's say it was a dish, right? Because we have this beautiful dish right here. So maybe let's say in your visualization, you saw like an orange wall in your kitchen, like it's this really modern thing, and you see this orange wall. Now you can do choices with that. You can paint your current wall orange, or anybody, or you can fill your life with little things that remind you, that are visual reminders of like, yeah, this is what I want. Or this is the feeling that I want to have. So if the feeling came over me of I want to feel like everything is cozy, or I'm comforted, that means that I'm going to, at a certain time every day, give myself the gift of that comfort when I make that cup of tea in my favorite mug, because it gives me this connection to that feeling. So there is this thing that you become very intentional about how you want to feel, what shows up for you, and also you become very clear about what isn't working, what is not part of what you want. And then you have to start making some choices, some shifts, not changing your life forever, but some shifts, because you get information. And you just start to, you train yourself to live in a much more thoughtful way, Yeah.
Well, I think too what's so powerful and why I was so drawn to have this conversation with you, and why I tell everybody about your brain, I mean I do.
That's so great.
Is because I really do believe that mindset is everything. When I went through a coaching program, there's 2 women in the audience that went through it with me, and if there was one thing I think we learned this year is, and seen the evidence of, is that mindset is everything. Yeah. And so again, to have created something that's beautiful, that literally I was like, oh, it's probably $1,000. It's probably Hermes or something, and that it's actually, something that almost anyone can own. And it is also this beautiful reminder of like where we really want to focus.
Yeah. Just because it's on your body. So it's just a reminder. That's all. Just a reminder. And it's also like a game. It makes things like a game. And it's meant to be, you're meant to win the game. That's all.
So, are there any sort of wishing hacks you can kind of share with us?
What's the shortcut?
Yeah.
I think that we tapped on it, the playfulness. I think I do believe in work, and I do believe in hard work. And I think that work can be fun, and I think that there is a humility and a playfulness about how you can go about things. And so it talks about what we were talking about before, like pretending like, I don't know, that everything is great. Wishing, I think, the magic really is in the wish work. It really is. The wish beads are the way that get you in, but the wish work doesn't have to be work. It's playful, it's humble, and I think we don't have to wait to bring that fun and joy into our lives. And I'll give you one little example, and I think this is actually going to help my business a ton, even though it makes no sense. So forever, I wanted to take ceramics classes, like forever. Yeah, never have, right? So I go to one ceramics class, and the woman tells me that, and it was fun, it was fun, it's pretty simple, but it was fun. It was like 2 hours. And the woman tells me, she's like, if you really want to learn ceramics, you should go to Santa Monica College and learn from this like master ceramicist. And I literally live like 5 minutes away from Santa Monica College. It was like, that's a great idea. So I go online, and you have to register as a student, which is just so cute. And declare you're an art major, hilarious. And then I found out that like the class is 5 hours a week. So it's 2.5 hour sessions for 4 months. And then I had this thought like, I could not possibly devote that much time to like, this is my thought process. There is absolutely no way that I couldn't even possibly justify doing that, for time and this and this and this. And then I sat with that and I thought, well, wait a minute. I run my own company. Like, I don't have a boss. I could actually do this. And so I signed up. I'm going to take like an obscene amount of ceramics classes. And I think that, because you have this concept of like, work should be fun, do less and accomplish more, and all of this stuff. And I thought, no, if I don't prioritize my own play and creativity that like technically has nothing to do with my work, then I'm not actually living the truth of my own message. And so, yes,
I think... Say that again.
Yeah.
Say that again. Because I think, too, like, I know that to be true. Like, play, and we, like, most of the people here are creatives, right? So,
yeah.
And play is such an important part of getting our creativity. And yet, I know, as for myself, taking that time, for me, I've gotten a lot better at it, but used to make me feel so guilty. Like, I should be sitting in front of my computer at work. Although the creative solutions to problems I have, or the idea I'm looking for, it never comes when I'm sitting at my desk.
No.
It usually comes when I'm walking the dog.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I've been the worst at it, like the worst. Like, I don't watch shows. I have a very, I love people, but I have like a very kind of simple lifestyle. But I love the idea of focusing on something just for the joy of creation and let the universe do the heavy lifting. And if I don't really start putting that into my own life, then I'm not really fully believing what I'm teaching, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because I believe that the universe can work a lot faster, and I can be there like on the wheel, and someone from Oprah is going to call me. Mm-hmm. That's how it's going to work. Because it's not going to work.
Oh my God, someone from Oprah is totally calling you.
No.
Oh, stick that. I can't wait that you're not. Like, one of her favorite things.
No, I know. No, I was actually officially in selection for that. But that happened. Well, anyway, that's another
Sunday
story.
conversation.
Yeah. But it's like, it is that accountability piece. Like, I can't stand here and tell you and like write a book about this and then be like, but I'm always on my computer, like jamming out my stuff. I just can't do it. I can't do it anymore. So this was my big, 2020. I start class mid-February. Yeah. So if anybody wants a mug or a plate, I have so many. I think I should like gift them. I did like a raffle on Wishbeads to be like,
oh my God, that's
you can get a Wishbeads and the winner gets like a mug made by me. We're gonna have too many things.
So cute.
So funny.
There's a woman in the audience that shared a very interesting quote with me about time. Would you be willing to share? I don't want to point you out unless you are willing to share. Yes. Okay.
Yay!
Well, I think it speaks to what you were just saying.
Oh, what we, okay,
Yeah.
Let's see if I remember it correctly. It was I've been working with Ginna a lot, so there's a lot going on mentally right now. But let's see here. The quote went something like, we hear so often that we don't have time for something, right? Whether it's working out, whether it could be anything, seeing friends, calling friends, connecting, a million things, right, that can take priority. So we always say that we don't have time for something, but if you instead say to yourself, I don't make it a priority for myself, see how that feeling changes and what comes with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that was so fascinating because I hear that a lot. Well, I don't have time. And I say it a lot too.
Yeah,
I don't
me
have
too.
time. But when you said to me, oh, but it's not a priority, I went, oh, well, that's because when we really want to find time for something, we find the time.
Yeah, we find the time.
We find the time, we find the money, whatever it is.
Make it happen.
I mean,
Along
Yeah.
those lines, it's like saying, I don't have the money for something. Instead,
Yeah.
it's not in my budget. I
Yeah.
choose not
I
at
choose
this
not to-
moment, not to spend money on this,
Yeah.
rather than saying, I don't have money, I
Yeah.
don't have this, I don't have that.
Or I look forward to getting it.
Yeah.
Like, I look forward
Yeah.
to that. That'll be great.
Right.
Yeah, when I choose to do it.
Well, and the
Yeah.
things that we don't give ourselves the luxury of time, it's usually all has to do with getting to that next step, the higher power of what we really, really want, that we secretly, don't even tell anyone.
Yeah.
Or trying to figure it out and just
Yeah.
taking care of ourselves. It can be the smallest thing to the biggest thing,
Yeah.
but just not creating that moment of prioritization.
There's something I learned recently. I was in DC. My grandmother passed away, so we were in Washington, and we took a little walk with the kids. And there's this like Swedish, kind of like, I don't know if it was the embassy. Anyway, they had a open to the public, and they had these different exhibits. And one of them was talking about these like Swedish concepts. And so I was checking it out, and one of them was this thing called pica. Have you heard of pica? So into this now, so into it. Pica is the experience of having a warm beverage and a little something sweet in the afternoon. And I was like, I totally want to do fika. And then someone said, in Manhattan, there's a couple of cafes called fika. And I'm like, I know what that is now.
yeah.
I think that this issue of time, and especially because, I don't know if people have kids in the room here, but so you have your work day, but then you have these other obligations, like these wonderful beings that require things called children, and so your time becomes this crazy jamming it in between these hours and schedules and whatever. And I told them, I was like, oh no, now we're doing fika. Because if I know that at some point there is a prioritized, even 10 minutes, where I will stop everything, have like a beverage of my choice and a little something sweet, I am going to be a happier person. Like I just will, and the kids, everyone knows it now. It's like, it's fika time. It's really been the most fun thing. So I think I'm going to write about that in Wishbeads, but little things, because even when, you fast forward, so people think, oh, well, when my company is this, or if I make a certain amount of money, then I'll be able to do this. But guess what? We're going to be the same because we do the same habits. So if things get bigger and there's too many things on your plate, you haven't delegated it, I'm speaking about myself, then if the big opportunity is there, the big event, the 1 million wishes, there's going to be more of the thing. There's going to be more to-do list. And I can't have that. So I have to treat...
Wow, that's really interesting.
I have to treat the issue now, when it's actually quite small and manageable, and I can hire someone junior virtually to do the thing just a little bit, and that's the muscle that I will do better and better and better and better, so that when it's really a big thing, I'm not running around like a crazy person, because I don't want that. I don't want that.
No.
I want it big and impactful and easier, so I can really just do what I want to do.
Well, what I hear you basically saying is you are making decisions based on possibility and the vision of where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just being stuck in this moment where you are. It's
Right.
no, I'm planning for that big thing.
Yeah.
So I've got to start putting these things in place.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And then even having, dream vacations, because those are actually experiences that I want. There are big vacations, and I don't want to go and do it on a budget. I actually want to visualize this thing that I've seen a moment of, and I'm like, that's going to be so good. I don't know when that's going to be, but I want to feel the deliciousness and the satisfaction just of seeing myself there. So then you talk about the feeling. It's a feeling of being satisfied because I already see myself there.
Yeah.
That'll be so fun. So even if I watch a YouTube video about life in Japan, because my big thing is I want to go to Japan, then I'm already being like, oh my God, this is such great information for our trip to Japan. And the kids are like, when are we going? I'm not sure. I don't know, but we're going to go. You know?
Can I share a story about like the feeling idea that you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
Okay, so I'm convinced that my husband and I manifested each other. And probably 4 months before we met, I was seeing a therapist, right? Like getting myself ready to meet the man because it was time.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said to me is like, okay, can you give yourself the feeling of what you want to feel like when you are in love? I don't know, it's a really good question. He's like, well, close your eyes and let's try. So closed my eyes and I gave myself a feeling. He's like, you need to spend at least 5 minutes a day giving yourself that feeling. And 4 months later, he and I met or re-met. But I think that's such an important thing. And I think also what you're saying, which is really interesting about like having a wish or a goal, is identifying the feeling of what we're going to have once the goal is achieved, because that's really the goal.
Yeah. Which means that you can actually make that wish come true right now.
Yeah.
Because did it feel good wherever you went in that little visualization? And you can just connect with that feeling when you wake up in the morning, and you can connect with that feeling when you're stuck in traffic and it's annoying. And there's just some kind of satisfaction with knowing that it's yours. Nobody has to give it to you. You already have that feeling. And then if I'm looking for more downtime in my life, like in one of my visualizations, I see over and over again this future place, which is definitely not in LA. It's definitely in the woods. I know it. And I see the chair and I see the whole thing. But there's a feeling of me sitting in a chair with, I guess I must really like hot beverages, with a hot beverage. And I'm in this chair and I'm looking at these woods and I see the woods and they're not where I live. But if I do my fika on my couch and I look at my tree outside, it's the same energy. It's the same imprint. It's the same like, oh yeah, this feels really good. So it's not the thing that I'm seeing, which is going to require all kinds of big things like moving or buying another house somewhere or whatever. But it's like owning it right now, and it feels great. It does feel great. It's very satisfying.
So I'm wondering if anybody has any questions they want to ask Alexa.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. I visualize a lot of the stuff that's, I was decluttering a few months ago. I said I'm going to have a clean slate in 2020, relaunching my company, which Ginna has kind of, after one conversation, I need to forget this and do something else. Nonetheless, like I was going through this box of things that over the years, maybe since I was 20 years old, I had collected all these things.
Yeah.
I forgot what I had collected. And as I was opening them, I was like, oh my God, this has happened already. This can go already. This can go, and that can go, and that can go. And like all those things went. So I tried to live like in the moment. I don't live in the past. I don't live in the future. And I want to know, when you do wish and you try to implement that sort of every day, your wish is always somehow in the future.
Yeah.
How do you connect the now and the those two things together?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And one of my favorite books is the Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now.
I read that.
Yeah, it's a great book.
His other one is even better.
Yeah. He's terrific.
New Earth.
A New Earth, yeah. So I would say, it's primarily an intention setting, tool. It's jewelry, but it's an intention setting tool. If you find that there is something in your life that's feeling like it's a little bit stuck, or it's feeling like we all have these little moments that are sort of, whatever. If you can identify that, which Eckhart Tolle would talk about the pain body, something that was coming from pain, and that there was a positive feeling or response, an ideal sort of reaction to that or relationship to that. You put that in a wish. Put that intention, even if you just write the word now. Whatever that relationship is, if you can use this device, if that feels more authentic to you, to just have like the remembering how powerful you are, for me the word would be pause. There's something I believe in called the magic pause. And sometimes when I'm juggling too much, I will react to something. Whereas if I just paused and gave myself a moment to consider various possibilities, I might choose better than just immediately going, oh, I can't do that. I don't have time. What's happening here? And so you can use it and try it that way. And then that's very much about the now. It's very much about a momentary experience. So it's not so much about something in the future. Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, I also think the intention setting and connecting with the feeling that you want, it's transformative in the moment. It's not just about what sort of the quote unquote result is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
It transforms because you become much more in sync with yourself and in sync with what you really want deep down.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, the feeling, everyone has a sort of different desired feeling, and I'm sure you know the work of Danielle Laporte, who I think is just awesome. Yeah. And she talks a lot about feelings, like feel the feelings now, like do the thing that feels you and satisfies you now. You can choose, you choose your feelings, because your thoughts create your feelings, and if you can have that presence and the feeling of nowness, then you can be much more mindful to say, well, where am I? Where do I want to be? Let me give myself that state of mind right now. For me, when I attribute it to a goal or intention or a wish, I like to mine it for what is it about that thing. So for example, this 1 million wishes that I see and this idea of music, and I have all these wonderful musician friends, so I see them. But about 8 months ago, I went to an event and people had experienced something called the songwriter's journey. And these amazing gentlemen called the Corin Brothers, amazing singers, but they lead these experiences where they guide people to find their song. And I was watching people who had gone through this and they were performing and it was amazing. And I remember sitting in my chair being like, that's so great for them. That's so great for them. Like, what a great experience they had. And at the end they said, if you're curious about this, if you're someone who likes to sing in the shower, check. Sing in the car, yep, that's me. If someone who really is moved by music, I'm like, that's me too. You might as well do a discovery call to see if this experience might be right for you. So I said, okay, what the heck? I'll do that. And next week, I have been in this journey with them for 6 months. And I wrote a song.
Oh my God.
I'm going to Ojai next week to record it. This is part of my commitment to being more playful. Clearly, I'm taking this very seriously. And that idea for the action really stemmed from the vision of seeing that moment on stage. And I because I'd been living with it and seeing it and visualizing it multiple times, I would ask myself, well, what's going on here? And why do I see them as musicians? I mean, they are musicians and like recording artists and performing, and I don't want to do that. But why is it that I have that feeling of like, that's them, not me? I don't have the greatest voice, but I can sing. And I'm not doing this songwriting journey to like launch a song on iTunes or whatever. But I thought I want to undo the narrative that that's not for me. Because why not? So there is some kind of dance you do with your wish to inspire you to take some action. That's a little bit of part of it. It's a little bit hard to explain. I probably never explained it in that way. But that really is the deeper work. So play with it. Whatever you saw, play with it and allow it to be present in your life. Because you're right, it's not about that moment. Because when you get the moment, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I saw this. And you're going to be on to the next thing you want, which as you should be. As you should. Yep. Maggie's mom.
Yeah.
Amanda.
I'm curious on how the work that you're doing impacts your family.
Oh, that's such a sweet question. Well, the thing that I'm probably the most excited about was there's one moment, I'm probably going to cry when I talk about it, but when I had this vision I was overwhelmed because I really felt that it did come through me, and to me that felt like a lot of responsibility. And I started figuring out how I was going to make this kit, and that was a journey in and of itself. And then I went to Oprah Winfrey's Super Soul Sessions at Royce Hall, and I heard India Ari sing the song "I Am Light." And in that moment, it was like a bolt of lightning. And I turned to my friend and I said, I have to do Wishbeads. Like, I've been preparing and researching it, and I have to, because it was given to me, and it must have been given to me for a reason, and I have to do it. Because it is not about me. It is about the people that I want to help. And if I get in my way, then I block whatever that energy is, right? So I said, I'm going to make a Kickstarter campaign, and I'm going to do this. And she's like, okay, settle down. So I went home and I figured out how to do that. And 30 days later, I launched my Kickstarter campaign, and we ended up raising $25,000 in 30 days. But my boys had been watching me figure this out. And they'd been watching me talk about this idea, and they've been watching me. Now I work from home. I've done everything literally figuring it out. Literally with every device that I have. And most people didn't know when I was teaching what I was doing. Nobody was doing online classes at the time. Anyway, so they would watch me figure it out. And I would tell them, okay, this is what I'm doing. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do this. And we're sitting at the kitchen table. And I looked to my son, who must have been like 7 at the time, or 8, when I did my Kickstarter campaign. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to hit the button and I'm going to go live on it. And he's like, do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And I hit publish. And then he goes into his room and he brings me $10. And I was like, woo! He's like, here's for your Kickstarter campaign.
Oh my God.
And it is like the most beautiful thing. So the best thing has been, now it has evolved. This is a family business, and my older son is super into 3D printing. When I was designing my necklace, I hired him to 3D print this. I hire them. I talk to them about, like, when we have a big project coming up with, we can't talk about it. And I'm like, we're like packing things. They ask me what our numbers are. How did Black Friday do? And I said to them, I was like, guys, here's the lesson. Here's what, like, yes, you have to get good grades, but here's the thing. You can do anything you want. You have to work hard. You have to figure it out. You have to be a good person, and you have to contribute to society in some way. And this is available to you, because while I went to drama school, I did not go to entrepreneur school. And you can figure it out. And these kids and what's available to people now, it's phenomenal what they can do and build and see. And like yesterday, unfortunately or unfortunately, my son was in the room when I got an email for this big project that I'm doing from some person that was like, I need this thing, end of day, tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And I had this giant negative reaction to it, because I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you need professional photography and you want it like end of day today? What are you talking about? And all this like criteria. And I just thought, and this was my negative narrative, was like, you are some like 24-year-old at a desk in Manhattan, like thinking that I am like this big company and I'm going to talk to the art department. But that's not the case. And so I had this big giant reaction in the room. And then I calmed down and I wrote her an email back that was like, please be very specific about what you need. And I was like calm in the email, but my son like witnessed me being like, I don't have time for this. Like, there's too much happening. The woman wrote me back this morning. And she said, oh, sorry for the miscommunication. The picture that I need is internal. It's just an internal snapshot. It's not professional photography. And so what she actually was asking for was actually something I could deliver, no problem. But then I had to go back to my son. And I said, here's a good lesson. Like, that's the transparency. Like, that's my jam with them. Is like, in the moment, you're going to say something, you're going to feel something, and you just need to like pause for a second. Because the truth was, that woman that I was sending her negative energy, she actually just didn't, she didn't communicate that, like, it wasn't like she needed me a photo shoot overnight with models. She just needed like my iPhone, like, take a picture. And so I've enjoyed that as a parent, really being like, really, really like, they're not my little buddies. They're like they are my little buddies. But I'm I'm really honored to be able to really, when you talk about being honest, they know firsthand what I'm doing. And they're excited about it. Although I asked them if they wanted to come tonight, and they said no. They've never come to my speaking engagement. I was like, what about tonight? And they're like, no thanks. I'm staying with Dad. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Since you began this journey, do you find that acting has become less fulfilling to you in Hollywood, summed up, if you will?
You know what's so funny about that is I really do love acting, and I had a wonderful time. I don't work with, I said goodbye to all my agents. I couldn't run around. I literally could not run around and do most of the life of a professional actress is auditioning. And I couldn't do it. So I actually, I said goodbye to my representation, a while ago. And yet the funny thing is that I know that I'll probably act again. But it'll be like for a project because people I know are making TV shows, or my brother-in-law has a movie and I have a part in that, or it's different. Or I'll live in a small town. I'll do like community theater there. Like it'll be different. And I'm so much happier now than when I was there because it wasn't my thing and I was still seeking. It was a really important part of my journey, and I'm so glad I did it. And I learned from it, and I was confused by it. And I'll probably go back to it, but it'll be like totally different. It'll be like, because it'll be like, yeah, let's make a movie. It won't be like, oh, I'm in the room with all the people, giving me, gruff. It'll be much more fun. That's what I think, or not. Who knows? I don't know. It'll probably happen. Maybe. We'll see. But I don't think about it too much. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much
What
for tonight
fun.
and sharing, your journey, your vision, the process, the visioning exercise.
Yeah.
She does have product available for sale.
Yeah.
I
The
go
magic
first.
is inside of you. Don't worry.
But
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Oh,
and,
I love
for sharing
it.
all this. So just
Yeah.
want to thank you, and again, thank you.
And
to
thank you for
Simon.
showing up. Oh my